What happens behind the Vatican walls often speaks louder than any official decree. On January 19th, 2026, a private 30-minute meeting took place. On one side, Pope Leo XIV. On the other, Father John Berg, Superior General of the priestly Fraternity of St. Peter, a society dedicated exclusively to the traditional Latin Mass. No press release, no big announcement, just a closed-door audience. But in the world of Catholic liturgy, this wasn't just a polite chat. It was a potential bellwether. To understand why, and to read the signals of Pope Leo's young pontificate, we need to look beyond the headline and into the strategy. This isn't about winning a culture war. It's about understanding how the Church navigates its most delicate tensions. First, let's establish what we know. The fraternity, known as the FSSB, requested the meeting. They weren't summoned for a scolding. They came to present their case, to explain their history, their global apostolic work, and the unique spiritual charism that draws so many to them. They also raised practical misunderstandings and obstacles they face in some dioceses. The Pope listened. He asked questions. He gave his blessing. And then nothing. No policy reversal. No new privileges announced. The FSSB's own communiqué was a masterpiece of cautious, respectful neutrality. So was it nothing? A mere formality? For many observers, that's precisely the point. In the complex dance of Vatican politics, sometimes how something is done matters more than what is immediately achieved. This is where insight becomes crucial, because depending on who you ask, this meeting meant vastly different things. Let's break down the four dominant interpretations. First lens, the procedural event. This view says, don't read too much into it. The FSSB is a pontifical institute. It's normal for its superior to meet the Pope. The cautious wording signals nothing changed. It was pastoral housekeeping, not high politics. Second lens, pragmatic leniency. Here's where it gets interesting. This perspective, favored by some major news agencies, sees this as part of a clear pattern. Pope Leo has already granted symbolic permissions, like allowing a traditional Mass in St. Peter's Basilica, and is reportedly handling exemption requests from bishops more generously. This meeting fits the pattern, a gesture of goodwill, easing practical tensions without changing the law on the books. Third lens, the listening phase. This interpretation suggests we are witnessing a pontificate that is deliberately in consultation mode. Pope Leo is gathering data, listening to all sides, traditionalists, reformers, everyone. The meeting was a gesture of dialogue, a necessary step in a long process. It builds a relationship, but commits to nothing. It's about keeping channels open. Fourth lens, the vibe shift. This is the most strategic take. It argues that Pope Leo is executing a deliberate policy of de-escalation. The goal isn't to settle the liturgical debate, but to drain it of its toxic, politicized anger. By applying the restrictive traditionis custodes with a softer touch and granting respectful audiences, he's trying to lower the temperature. The law remains, but its sharp edges are being purposefully padded. This meeting, then, is a signal of that new, less confrontational vibe. To truly grasp the significance, you must understand the battlefield on which this meeting occurred. First, the shadow of traditionis custodes. Pope Francis's 2021 document was an earthquake. It declared the post-Vatican II Mass the unique expression of the Roman Rite and severely restricted the old liturgy. The FSSB itself, while initially protected, was placed under much closer Roman supervision. Every traditional community now lives under this cloud. Second, the apostolic visitation. Since late 2024, the FSSB has been undergoing a Vatican investigation, a visitation. Officially, it's routine oversight, but in this climate, it feels like an audit. The meeting with the Pope occurred during this visitation, which is a critical detail. It could be seen as a reassuring gesture amid a stressful process. Third, Pope Leo's emerging third way. More and more, analysts see a pontiff trying to carve a path between the stark choices of suppression versus full restoration. His approach might be termed pragmatic pastoral coexistence. He's not revoking the laws of his predecessor, which would cause immense turmoil. But he's not enforcing them with a heavy hand where they cause disproportionate pastoral harm. He's allowing space, case by case, while maintaining ultimate authority. So, what's the deep insight for a faithful Catholic trying to discern the signs of times? This meeting reinforces that the era of dramatic, confrontational headlines on the liturgy may be giving way to an era of managed stability. The traditional Latin Mass is not being led to the gallows, nor is it being restored to its former prominence. It is being placed institutionally into a state of officially tolerated particularity. For the average Catholic in the pew, this means the immediate fear of sudden extinction for these communities may lessen. For bishops, it provides more room for pastoral discernment. But for ardent advocates and critics, it will be frustrating. There is no final victory, no decisive end to the debate. The Church, through Pope Leo's actions, seems to be saying, this wound is too deep to heal quickly. We will not amputate, nor will we pretend it isn't there. We will allow it to heal slowly, under watchful care, within the unity of the body. It is an exercise in monumental patience. The meeting between Pope Leo XIV and the FSSB was a quiet event. But in its quietness, it shouted a message about this pontificate style. Listen first, act cautiously, and prioritize the peace of the Church over the clarity of ideological victory. The path ahead is not one of resolution, but of careful, ongoing management. The liturgical limbo continues, but perhaps with a slightly less anxious atmosphere. What do you think? Is this pragmatic leniency a wise, pastoral strategy for unity or a failure to provide clear leadership? Does this vibe shift match what you're seeing in your own diocese? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. This is a conversation we need to have with charity. If you appreciate this kind of in-depth, nuanced look at the Church's inner life, please like and subscribe. It helps immensely. Thanks for watching.